LearnFlix as a personalized learning app, which provides you assessment as well as a complete remedial plan. So if you've got 7 out of 10, it will tell you what all topics, what all chapters you want to focus on so that you get 10 out of 10. So that is one. Then we have other teacher portal, teacher support material, which helps teachers and students continue their learning and teaching despite these difficult times. So, in a series of efforts to connect with you, this is one more effort that we have where we are organizing webinars on relevant topics for school leaders, teachers, parents, and students in these difficult times. And today is a very, very special day where we have a very special person who will conduct a webinar and share his thoughts on on how do we keep ourselves charged and motivated and lead in this kind of difficult situation. And as I don't need to introduce him, all of you know Mr. Saurav Ganguly. He's been a legend in one of the most successful Indian captain who has led Indian cricket team to glory during difficult times. And I don't need to introduce any more about him. He's been my hero too. And to have this conversation with him, we have another equally eminent person, Mr. Boria Majumdar, who all of you know as a very eminent journalist. But probably what most of you don't know, he's been an eminent scholar as well as a teacher also. He's been a Rhodes Scholar, he's been a doctorate from Oxford, and has been a professor and somebody for whom education is very close to his heart. So without taking any more time, I will now hand it over to Mr. Boria Majumdar to take the webinar forward. Thank you.
Yes, if you can hear. Okay. Thank you so much, Vinay. Thank you for your kind words. Privilege, as usual, to be speaking to Saurav and to everybody here. Saurav, this topic is actually tailor-made for you. Leadership in crisis. Whenever in your career, either as a player or as an administrator, you have taken over the mantle of leadership, and more often than not, you have led, crisis has become a bedfellow. But you have been able to overcome such crisis. So the first very simple question posed to you, what are your mantras of leadership, or how do you, when Saurav Ganguly goes to bed tonight, last week, with a IPL governing council meeting the next day, where he has to take a call for a 4,300 crore tournament, when the world is afflicted by COVID, how does he take that call? Where does he get the courage? How does he face the challenge head on? What are your modalities and principles by which you guide yourself as leader that our people, everyone who's listening to this broadcast, will want to hear?
Firstly, thank you to Chaya once again for allowing me to be here and interacting with a lot of young boys and girls, and I can see on the screen. Coming back to what you said, Boria, leadership in crisis. I believe crisis creates leadership. I look at it the other way. If everything is going hunky-dory and everything is at its best, then obviously there is no crisis, and you don't need somebody to come and take care of it. So it is only when there is chaos, when there is commotion, when people lose faith on previous leaders, that new leaders come in and start the system, and then it depends on the person whichever way he wants to take it forward. There are various aspects to leadership in terms of whether it's in crisis or whether it's in good area during good times, because leadership is a process. Leadership is something which is continuous. It is something which you have to do it. Every leader is different in his own way. Some are very proactive, some show it on their face, some keep it inside, and it varies from leader to leader. I have various aspects to leadership. I believe in the team I work with, because I've been brought up in a team sport. Every corporate or business unit, or even the team at Chaya, there is a whole number of people working together to get this brand and this unit to be successful. I believe in man management, and I'll break it up as we go during the process of our interaction, and I'm sure you will take up every point and every issue. I believe in man management. I believe in taking the fear of failure away. I believe in visualizing. I believe in preparation. I believe in adaptability. I believe in self-belief, which for me is very important in your journey to success. I believe in trust. The trust of leadership is very, very important for people to thrive under them and thrive nicely and peacefully. And finally, I believe it's the attitude. Your life is your attitude. It's the attitude you carry which makes your life successful. or not successful. It's your resilience, it's your never give up attitude, and it's your belief in yourself when the world believes that you won't be able to do it. I think leadership is a conglomeration, is an amalgamation of all these processes, all these thoughts, and that is what you do at every step of your professional career.
Beautiful answer. Beautiful answer. If I can take 3 points out of that, I will take self-belief, where I want to delve more. I will take fear of failure, and I will take the last point that you made about attitude. And why do I say self-belief, fear of failure? Because if you see at one level, LearnFlix, what Vinay just said, the mode of teaching has now become digital. But while we were already being disrupted by COVID, we also have the new education policy. And while the new education policy is extremely interesting, we still don't know how it will be implemented. There are certain areas which are unanswered. Do we as a country have the mechanisms, or our teachers are empowered to implement the new education policy? What is the role of the parents? So to come to you, Saurabh, you said fear of failure. The teacher who has to adapt to online learning, the school educator here, the leader who has to empower his teacher to adapt to online learning, will inevitably have fear of failure. So please delve a little bit more on that. How does one, when Saurav Ganguly decides, and I give the example of the IPL because it's so huge. At one level, it's 5,000 crores. At another level, if something happens health-wise, you are doomed, your organization is doomed, people will question you. There are anyway polarizing opinions. How do you, Saurabh, overcome fear of failure? Because that will answer this question for our educators, for our teachers, for our parents, for our students.
I think in every aspect of life, every profession, there is fear of failure. The higher you go, the more the stakes are. You will have this fear of failure, but then you have to find a way to put it behind. You have to do what is right, and I think that's. I'll come back to the IPL later. During my playing career, when I picked individuals and identified that they would take my team forward and they would be the catalyst of my success, I took the fear of failure factor away, and I think that's where leadership is. That's where leadership comes in. It is a process of how you allow individuals to focus on the job on hand rather than the word fear, rather than being criticized. Because in every sphere of life, whether you play the sport, whether you're a politician, whether you're a film star, whether you're a businessman, there will be criticism because people are monitoring you, people are evaluating your performances, and that is going to be there. But that should not be taking away from you the mindset and the reason why you are in the job. And it's the same thing for cricket. When young players came in during that era, the message to them was very loud and clear. The message to them was simple, that all you need to worry is about the red and the white cricket ball coming out of the bowler's hand. You do not need to worry what the critics are thinking, what the media is thinking, and what the world is thinking. And you create processes for that. You create systems for that. You train for that. You make sure that you create those situations of pressure, because the fear of failure comes under the pressure you're put in because of the circumstances. So coming back to the IPL, we had to do IPL, because that is what is right. Sports needs to be back. You look at England, you look at West Indies, you look at Pakistan. They've played the entire series without even one person getting affected. So that has given a push and the belief for everyone that we can do it. See, everything in life is a chance. There's no guarantee for success, whether you open a business today and have loans of 1,000 crores. When Chaya Prakashini started 80 years ago, nobody knew that they would cross 80 years and do it so magnificently, still getting better and still improving. That's what life is. You have to live every day. You don't look at the past, you don't look at the future. Yes, you visualize the future and plan for the future, but you work for that day, because that takes care of the future. I've always believed that a lot of us suffer from thinking too far ahead. It puts pressure on you. It's like batting. When you walk out to bat, you have to get the first run, then the 10th run, then the 20th run, and then you get to 100. You don't get 100 straight away. So I think taking the fear factor away is a process, and it's about the belief in your job.
Fabulous. To extrapolate that, from the perspective of education, and you mentioned the 80 years of SCHAN, I think what they have done is by introducing this into the digital plane, making the facilities available, giving people the mechanisms to teach. But more importantly, everyone who's listening to this broadcast, to this webinar, if as an educator, as a leader there, what Saurav just said is you have to take the fear of failure away from your teachers. Teachers, yes, it's new for you also. You have to take the fear of failure away from your students and your parents, because that ripple effect or that trickle down effect is what Saurav is talking about. You don't get to 100 on day one. Your internet connectivity will go. You will have a problem. Your frame will not be fine. Your WhatsApp will not work. Your technology will not work. You will not get to 100 on day one. But if you persist, you will. Saurav, what is more important for me, the other one, self-belief and attitude. And if I merge this, and here again, as leader, you are not only taking a call on behalf of Indians or BCCI, you are actually empowering the world. The IPL is not a tournament where only India plays. The world plays. And this is the world's biggest cricket league. Several countries are better off in terms of the pandemic compared to India. Take Australia, take England. They have it under control. But to empower people from those countries, players from those countries, give them the confidence that, oh, you know what? Please come, I will put on a show. My organization, my country, my team will put on a show which will empower you all and give you that safety cushion. Takes a hell lot. I've seen the SOP that you have prepared for the health and safety protocol. It is brilliant. Tell me that self-belief that even in this time of adversity, you and your team can deliver this. Like you did at the time of match fixing, beat Team Australia after 16 test matches. So 20 years, that self-belief hasn't changed for Saurav Ganguly. Tell me about it.
See, as you finished in the last word, the 20 years, that self-belief hasn't changed because experience allowed it to blossom. That's why in life you must accept pressure, must accept the challenge because it helps you to get better. There are two kinds of people you will come across in life. One who sees challenge and says that, do I take the safer option? And there is another kind of person who says this is the challenge and I'm going to take it head on. Only when you take it head on, accept the challenge and get past it, then only you become stronger. You have more faith in your ability, you have more faith in your thoughts and also the team you work with. So coming back to this IPL and amidst all this pandemic and amidst all this, obviously it's a balance between the belief that we can do it and a balance between being practical. Obviously going to Dubai is because the COVID numbers are not very great there. It's on the way down and reducing. So obviously you take a call on that and then you put in the SOPs as you very rightly said. Obviously they're done by professional people who know the matter more than I do or more than any of the BCCI staff do. It's a medical decision. But we firmly believe, looking at what England and West Indies and Pakistan have done, and if you look at England, there is county cricket going everywhere. Every ground, there's football happening. They've just finished the Premiership. So that gives you confidence that, if they can go around the country and get cricket done, if we can have the right medical staff and the teams are spread out in various venues and we do it clinically, we do it professionally, I'm sure we can get past this. There's no guarantee to anything. When you play your first test match, you believe that you're going to get runs. There's no guarantee till you get those runs and complete 100 that you will get 100. So it's about waking up every morning and believing I have it in me. You have to believe in yourself. You have to wake up in whatever job you are. You're a film star, you're a politician, you're a cricketer, you're an athlete, you're a businessman. You wake up in the morning to believe that it's going to be my day. Because 75% of the time, then it's going to be your day. But if you wake up in the morning shivering, fearing, trembling, doubtful whether I can do it or I can't do it, you'll only succeed 50 to 20% of the time. So it's your own way of creating that atmosphere around you. It's your own way of touching your heart every morning and saying that I'm going to make a difference. And life, job, profession is about making a difference. You don't need people who just wants to be on the stereotype system. You need people who would get up in the morning, look at the mirror and say, I have the belief in me to change it. And you will see the more you do it, you get past one story, you get to the next story, you get to the third story. And by the time you finish everything, you will only start believing that I can do no wrong. If I work hard, if I put the systems in, I can't do wrong. It just works like magic. Confidence, accepting pressure. It's like a boxer, you get hit the first blow you're fine after that because you know what it is. And I think self-belief, handling pressure is about just getting through that first blow and then realizing what it takes to succeed.
Excellent. Fly like a butterfly and sting like a bee. In the United States, afflicted by color and racism, there came the man who we all celebrate. And when he was celebrated at the Atlanta Games, Muhammad Ali handshaking when that inaugural moment happened, Saurav just said the whole world looked up. It was a change. And when Saurav Ganguly scored that 130 odd at Lords, and then went on to get 136 at Trent Bridge, and then went on to get 66, just about missed out on that 100, and then went on to get the 4 Man of the Match awards, to fast forward to where he is today, wearing that blazer on the first day of becoming BCCI president, to understand that this man wakes up every day and believes, yes, I can do it. Just like if you are a school principal or you're a teacher, you have people facilitating it. LearnFlix, S-Chan, education, policy. But your job doesn't end there. The self-belief starts from the fact that you will be able to utilize these facilities better. Think of the new education policy, 0 to 3. You have to empower a child. You have to empower a parent. 3 to 8. There, the fundamental change coming in our education policy. I was at an ICSL seminar yesterday, and it was incredibly interesting, because I could see educators talking about how this education policy can give us a rounded development, empowering the school, empowering the teacher, empowering the principal, empowering the administrator, means the student is empowered. And that's the attitude that Saurav Ganguly just said. Saurav, you have talked about fear of failure. You talked about self-belief. When it comes to leadership, and here there is something I have to bring up. Our sport has been a very gendered sport, and you're a man. For the longest time in Indian cricket, in Indian sport, we have discriminated against, or we have neglected or ignored women's. It was fantastic for me to see that you accommodated the exhibition WIPL games within that IPL framework. Do you have this consciously in your head that, oh, you know what, I as leader will have to ensure this is a gender equal world and a gender equal sport to the degree we can at the moment? How important is gender equality to you and making a difference in the domain that you are?
Hugely, because I live in a family where I have a mother, a wife, and a daughter. So there is more women in the family than men in my house. So and to be honest, I genuinely believe in gender equality. I believe women is the best thing God has created in this world. With affection, love, resilience, is something we all men should be proud of, and all men should consider ourselves lucky. They bring balance to your life. They bring sensibility to your character, and create a whole new world for all of us in every possible manner, whether it's the mom, whether it's the girlfriend, whether it's the wife, and whether it's the daughter. It's a remarkable feeling, and I can see a lot of young girls from all over the country listening to this, and I think the women are responsible for it. As you speak about the women IPL, the way India has played in the world stage in the last 2 world tournaments, whether in England and Australia, has been remarkable. They just forced everyone, every Indian, every cricket board, and every member involved with cricket, that we have shown to you that we are capable of being the best in the world. So you look after us, you better take care of us and make sure our game goes forward. I firmly believe this is one new aspect for world cricket, is to see the likes of Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet Kaur, and all the other, our own Jhulan Goswami, who's obviously on his last few legs in his career, had a wonderful career. So for me, what they have done to world cricket is remarkable. You look at Mary Kom. You reckon you can get a better role model than her in the world? World titles before having children, after having children, after having family. It's just the mindset, the determination, the resilience just to succeed, and they deserve every bit. They're right up with the men, and I feel at times the ladies are mentally stronger than the men, and actually guide them in their journey to success. And that's how the world should be. That's how the world is going to be, whether you accept it, whether you not accept it. And I know that a lot of us accept it and feel that's the right way forward.
Excellent. And when we talk about leadership, that's one aspect of international sport that pleases me these days. I mean, whether it's you as a leader, Saurabh, leading the board at these times, whether it is the IOC, which now has a gender equal policy, whether it's our students, whether it's our educators, whether it's our teachers. There are 350,000 private schools and more than 1 million public schools in this country. And this pandemic has disrupted everybody. It has disrupted everybody. I mean, each of us feel we are worse off. I mean, when I think, oh, you know what, my job is going, my education is stunted, my exams have been impacted, I can't go to school. So it's all about me, and about negativity and gloom and problems and all of that. But that's where you come in, sir. Because you come and tell me, oh, you know what, look below you. There are several million Indian school students who do not have access to online, who cannot listen to a Saurabh Ganguly. So you are actually privileged. You are the one who gives me that self-belief. The LearnFlix app, people who are accessing it, the S-Chan digital mechanisms, the school educators who are listening here, you are in a position of privilege to make a difference as society leaders. So sort of in that sense, as a leader, how do you empower others? Whether it is a first-class cricketer in Bengal who is looking up to a Saurabh Ganguly, or a 14-year-old cricketer who wants to be a Saurabh Ganguly, whose cricket has now come to a standstill, he or she cannot go out and play. When you think of it from that angle, that, oh, you know what, you have been there, done that. When I look up to you, I think, oh, if Saurabh Ganguly is telling me, then I can. How do you look at that responsibility as leader?
I think it's a tremendous feeling. I just don't consider it as a responsibility. It's a privilege to be in that position that people have faith in you. And that's why when you take up decisions, when you take up jobs or careers, you make sure that credibility remains. You were speaking about COVID, the current situation, learning on the app and on via video conferencing. I think it has opened up a new world for people. So many people, the biggest business houses in the world have told me that they were surprised how they could run business sitting from home, and they don't want to go back to office. Probably the richest man in India hasn't been to office for the last 5-6 months, and still has managed to do all his business from home. And as you say, chaos creates characters, chaos creates opportunities. And I think this pandemic has shown everyone that education online is a way forward. This pandemic has showed everyone that video conferencing is a way of doing business. It's not that you have to be on your office and table and chair every day. You don't have to be on school, go to school every day. You can actually be taught and educated through apps like LearnFlix and through online. And it's a great thing. It's like a transition of cricket, of one-day cricket. When I came in, big hitting was never a part of one-day cricket. Scoring runs at 5-6 runs or runs and over was never a part of one-day cricket. Once you did it, you started evolving. You realized, oh God, this is possible. Then England came in. They played one-day cricket in a different way in before they won the 2019 World Cup. So, as I've always said at the start of this discussion, chaos, confusion creates characters, creates opportunities for everyone to cling on. And you wait and watch how life changes. Corona will be around for a while, and it will go because the virus will become weak with time. We'll get medicines, we'll get vaccines, which will solve all this problem. It's life, and world has gone so far forward. But this 5 months, with the experiences of this 5 months, will stay handy to a lot of senior people. A lot of young girls are on conference with us, on hearing our chat. It will actually open new avenues for them to succeed, and I'm so happy to know that.
Absolutely. And where I think educators and parents and teachers and students can make use of this opportunity. Every adversity creates an opportunity, like you are saying, sort of. And COVID is also that. We needed a disruption. Let me be blunt here. India needed a disruption as far as the education scenario is concerned. For far too long, our education scenario had not been disrupted. It was the same old teacher. We were learning, and here I can give my personal example. I have come first all my life. I still hold the record for a couple of, in Kolkata University and stuff like that. But I had learned to give exams in Calcutta. I did not learn the subject. I think that was the pitfall of the Indian education system. This education policy, if properly implemented, can transform that. So in that sense, it's a disruption. So the educator or the parent or the teacher now has to teach the student, not simply how to teach exam or give examinations. And that's where I want to ask Sourav Ganguly the question. Sourav Ganguly, when you came into the Indian team, I mean, and it was a tough period, 1992 to 1996. You had a bag full of runs, bag full, and then all of a sudden you were jumped. And that was disruption for you. When you came back, and from 96, and you come back, when everybody writing you off, you are being blunted in front of a fast bowling attack in swinging conditions, just like at the moment Shaheen Afridi bowling to the English batsman. That difficult circumstances you score. Tell me about that, Sourav. Overcoming disruption, overcoming all of this and learning, because your skill was not the skill that you mastered there. That is what I want to know from you. How could you accomplish all of that so well?
I think every individual has its own way of success. It's a very broad outline you gave, Boria, and it's very pertinent with young boys and girls in the current scenario. That everybody has its own way of success. Firstly, you have to find your own way to succeed and stick to it, and secondly, what is very important, that you accept being thrown under pressure cooker situation. Being asked to bat at number 3 when it was seaming, decking and bouncing was an opportunity for me to succeed. Was an opportunity for me to make a name for myself and send a message to the world that here I am. I remember the press conference after I got the 100. Everyone asked me that, you've silenced a lot of critics. I said, I never looked at it that way. All I can say standing today is that I have faith in me and the belief in me that I can score runs for India. The 100 in my first test was the biggest thing that it gave was faith in my own ability. And all of you are here in your journey to success and in your career, you will come across situations where you will face similar situations. People will ask you questions. People will ask you the reasons why you were selected, because they believe somebody else should have selected. And for you to succeed, it's about creating your own shell of success, where you put all the negativity around and concentrate on the process, concentrate on batting. All I did with those 6 hours at Lords was back myself and looked at that red cricket ball coming out of the bowler's hand. And for all of you who are in this room and thinking how to handle pressure, how to handle criticism, just keep it away. Work so hard every day on your life, whether it's your job, whether it's sport, whether it's education, that it becomes a habit to you. And then when you walk out in the middle, when you sit for your exams, when you're asked by your boss to do the most toughest project in your company, it's like at the back of your hand. You worked so hard to be successful. It's a quiet belief that comes into you. No, I can make it. I can make it. I've done everything. I've done all the hard work, and it's time for me to succeed. The biggest thing what hard work gives you is that quiet belief that I've done everything to be successful, and I believe it's time for me to be successful. I think that's very important.
I will give an example from Sourav Ganguly's life. 2005, Sourav Ganguly had been playing for the Indian team for close to 10 years with tremendous success from 96, had scored enough and more runs, had captained India, had beaten everybody, had won everything, and then all of a sudden gets dropped. He was used to a life of luxury and being captain of the Indian team, the most powerful position in Indian sport. And then when he has to go back to the Ranji Trophy and the drawing board, he traveled with the Bengal team in trains, in buses, in cars, staying in shoddy hotels and relatively poorer accommodation. And to accept that, that is humility. That you never take your profession for granted. For me, what is Sourav Ganguly? Firstly, he's a friend. You go up to Sourav Ganguly, and what stands out for you? Even if you call this man at 12 o'clock at night, he will say, "Bhalo acho, family bhalo ache," means, are you okay? Are your parents okay? Is the family okay? Now that tells me something about this man as leader. The moment you hear someone, it's like a hand of comfort, like a hand of affection, that, oh, you know what? I am there for you. That is the Sourav Ganguly that I have forever loved, and that's why he's a hero like he is. Sourav, when you faced Steve Waugh, first test match at Wankhede, 3.5 days, good night and thank you. 128 for 8 in Calcutta, each one of us going home thinking, tomorrow it's 17 test matches for Australia. Don't tell me you weren't scared. How can you not be scared? How can a student listening to this broadcast facing a ICSE, CBSE, whatever examination, not feel daunted when he or she is exposed to digital learning for the first time? How can a teacher who's 55 plus, has never used the digital platform, not be daunted when he or she is using it for the first time? How can an educator, like a principal or an administrator, who all of a sudden has to change track, he's never done that in his life, not be fearful of the first time? So take me back to 128 for 8. India, Saurav Ganguly, captain of the Indian cricket team, getting abused, and then you change it around. How did you do that?
Of course, of course you get scared. Of course you have pressure. Nervousness brings the best out of you. You cannot turn up into big occasions without not being nervous, because you care. You care. You want to succeed. You want to make a name for yourself. So you will be nervous, and I think nervousness is good. It keeps you going. It keeps you awake and get ready for the big occasion. It's very important to identify and realize which situation you are in. Like as you said, you're 128 for 8. Your back is down to the wall. Now what is next is to fight back and play well. So you go back to the drawing board and think what makes you successful. Think how to score those runs. Similarly, when you're on this app for the first time, when you're on digital education for the first time, it's important you keep it simple. It's important you stay aware of what is going around and keep it simple, that this is a medium for you to be educated. It's just like sitting in the class and your teachers sitting on the chair in front of you in teaching. They're just on video conferencing from their respective homes and trying to teach. So I really don't see any difference, and it's just about accepting the situation. In life, you will only go forward if you accept what is the current situation, not being superficial, not think that everything around you is hunky dory, and even if you're back to the wall, it's a character which you show that no, everything is fine. That doesn't work. Similarly, when you're at your best, when you are at the top, it's about also realizing what it is to be at the top. You'll only understand the failures if you learn to enjoy the successes, and vice versa. So the biggest mindset in approaching difficult situation is to accept it, enjoy the pressure, and accept the change at times is very, very good. It actually helps you to become better. A lot of us get stuck into our old mindsets and old thoughts, saying that this is what I've done for a long period of time and this is the best for me. It is not. Sometimes when somebody shows you the right picture, somebody shows you a door which is different from what you have used for a long period of time, maybe it's time you take it, and maybe it will be good for you. And with my experience, I've seen 8 out of 10 times it has worked in your favor rather than going against it. So accepting changes and trying to find a solution to it is not the wrong way all the time.
125 all out India in the 2003 World Cup against Australia. All of us, some of us at least, fans were throwing dirt, etc. at players' homes. Saurav Ganguly and his team, led by this man, he accepts the pressure, sort of allows, gives up his own batting position where he had thrived all his life, scores 300s, wins 8 straight games for India, takes India to the final of that World Cup against all odds. That's what he's talking about, that he accepted it, absorbed it, appropriated it, molded himself, and won it. So a flurry of questions. Let me pose some to you before I come back with some of mine again. If you are to choose between a man with high talent but a streak of indiscipline and a man with discipline but limited talent, which one will you choose and why?
I will actually choose a man with a lot of talent and then try and make him disciplined. Yes, I'm going to give it a try for a period of time and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll go back to the person who's more disciplined and less talent, because at the end of the day, skill is very important. Skill in everything is very, very important. You look at a stalwart or a once in a lifetime generation player like Diego Maradona. You couldn't have put your hand to your heart and said that the genius he was as a player, equally indisciplined he was in his professional life. But then you had to have that right balance of whether making use of his genius or just letting the genius go under the cover of discipline. So it's a balance a leader has to take. That depends on your own understanding of the situation. That depends on your own eye to identify talent and how you work towards it. So I would actually always try and protect talent and not let it go for a period of time, because I firmly believe that talent is what you're born with, and what you become is what you do with your talent. So that it's like if you have a good length and line 130 kilometers an hour fast bowler and a genuine pace of 150 kilometers an hour, you would actually go for the 150 kilometers an hour. And even if he's a bit all over the place, you think, okay, listen, he's got the material in him to succeed at this level, so let's support him, let's try and change him, and let's get him back to bowling at its best. I probably look at it this way.
Excellent. I mean, and you've done that. A mediocre, modest opener versus a Virendra Sehwag, mercurial, temperamental, tremendously talented. So what if he's a little temperamental? And you know what Virendra Sehwag turned out to be. Same for Yuvraj Singh, same for Harbhajan Singh. And I can tell you, these guys, each of these guys I've just referred to, as Zahir Khan, will still swear by Saurav Ganguly. They think this man molded their careers, made them what they are, just because of the way Saurav Ganguly was able to hone their talent. He mentioned Maradona. Absolutely, 1982 World Cup. That match against Brazil, when this man kicks and gets a red card. And then 1986, when Carlos Bilardo hones his talent, and those 2 goals against England and those 2 goals against Belgium. Saurav, the next question, quote, when did you decide your aim for the future? How much did you score in your 10th board? What would you do in your student life when you felt that something you have left in the study before approaching an examination? And as this person who's asking is a student of class 9, he or she wants to ask, did you take anyone's opinion in your studies, or you just did what you felt was right?
A lot of questions in one go, Borea, but I will answer one at a time. Can you tell me the first question?
The first one is, when did you decide your aim for your future?
At a young age, you don't decide for it. You just work for it, and you just keep. And just like all of you, I grew up in a family where they wanted you to study and get educated. Then my father took me to cricket, and obviously it kept falling year after year. You never thought so far at that age. Secondly, coming to my class 10 examinations, I did very, very well. For all of you here, I used to play the sport, and I did Madhyamik from the West Bengal board. Now I know a lot of you are into ICSC, ISC, and CBSC, which is the more prominent ones at the moment. I did magnificently well in those exams. And what was the other question?
The last one was, did you take anyone's opinion in your studies, or you let your own opinion be the most?
I had great teachers, and all of you, all of the young boys and girls who are here, your teachers are your biggest help in life, and some of my teachers, I'm still friends with them. Some of my teachers, I still meet them even after such a long period of time, and the contribution they have in your life is unbelievable. And I took a lot of help from a lot of them, because that's what you need to do at that age, because you don't know much. You need guidance. You need guidance in your education processes. You need guidance in your the way you want to study, how the examination. That's very, very important. So I had a lot of support from my school, my teachers, and still my my maths teacher. My maths teacher is still my daughter's maths teacher, and my daughter just passed out ISC. She's still teaching her maths, and it's so great to see 2 generations he has educated, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
This is an interesting one. In a cricket team, playing 11 is chosen out of 15, or 9 get chosen automatically, whoever the person is asking the question. The other 2 places are the captain's call almost. In life, when a leader makes a team, most get chosen by merit. But there are always 1 or 2 cases when there is debate and eventually leads to a bit of a crisis or doubt. What should a captain do then? How do you make those final 2 calls? What do you allow? What are the sort of criteria, or what are the selection choices, or the yardsticks that you as a leader apply?
I think you're made the captain or a leader of a unit to take decisions, and I think you must take it. But what needs to be very important is when you go back to bed in the night and put your head on the pillow, you must tell yourself and be able to convince yourself that every decision I took was for my team and for the group of people who I work with. Because none of us are superhumans. We will all make mistakes, but at the end of the day, as long as our intent is right, As long as our mind is in the right place, never fear, because you've been given the job because people feel that you're good enough to do it.
Okay. The next one, did you get scolded by your parents if you did not score big in school, Saurabh?
Yes, yes. And I used to play a lot of sport when I was in school because there was no mobile phones these days. Television did not have so much reach as they have in the modern day world. So I used to play a lot of sport, and most importantly, to get away from my mother because she used to ask me to study all the time. So the only way was to go and play football and play cricket, which indirectly made me a sportsman. My parents would scold me when I wouldn't do well from football. I would come back from school with swollen ankles, and my mother would say every time that no more football for you because you have a swollen ankle, a swollen groin, and you won't be able to go to school tomorrow. So these are parts of, and it's good to get scolded, because your parents want the best of you. When your mom and dad scolds you for something, never take it annoyingly. Yes, you might get angry for that particular moment because nobody likes getting scolded, but you must remember their intent is right. Parents will always want the best for their children, and you must accept that.
And so, sort of, this is a question that I have to ask. And coming back to me, I will take a few more. How do you, as leader, okay? And here I come from something that happened yesterday, because to illustrate my point will be easier. Like yesterday there was an ICC meeting, and you walk away from that ICC meeting, getting India the 2021 World Cup, which was yours, and getting Australia the 2022, which is ideal for India because you have 21 and you have 23. How do you do that act of convincing others? What is the, when you, and by the way, here, it was not, you're a leader for sure, but everybody else on that platform were also equals at a certain level. But you still got your way. And that's what I want to do. That as a leader, take educators who are attending this program. The teachers, they're not sort of, in any way, the educator can be labeled a captain, but the educator also has to convince the teachers that, oh, you know what, this new education policy is good, or this LearnFlix tool is good, or this way of teaching is good. And eventually the convincing leads to the ripple effect that will benefit the student, which is what you were able to do with ICC, with the policies that you managed to win yesterday, 21 World Cup for India. Tell me that, when you approach a meeting like that, you have a country's interest at heart. How do you as leader approach such a meeting, and what are your principles that guide you?
Firstly, there's no hard and fast rule to success, Bhoya. You follow the rules and you follow the system. India was designated to hold the 21 and the 23 World Cup, so there is not a big change in that. Yes, the COVID situation had kept everybody alarmed, but then that's the way it is. And I think in life, when you stand up for your school, your college, you have to do the best for that particular situation. You have to carry instructions of your school and colleges. And for all of you here, all of the young boys and girls here, someday they will represent their schools, their offices, their corporates, their parents' business to the bigger world. And I think before you do that, and before you go and express yourself in such a bigger platform, you should be completely ready and prepared with what you want. Your vision has to be good. Your preparation for your vision has to be good, and your implementation of the vision has to be good. Once you get those three things in one place, your vision, your preparation, and implementation, you will be able to be successful. Remember, you don't prepare the day before the exams. Remember, you don't prepare the day before a game or prepare a day before a meeting. These are works in processes which go on for a long period of time. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and that's how you become good. You keep doing it over and over again, so that by the time the big day comes, you're so confident that you will get it through. It's like examinations. You study right throughout the year to become a topper in class. There is no solution to it other than that.
Sort of a question that has been asked by a class 6 student is, do you think marks, and I'm asking you this, you can extrapolate it to cricket and as a leader. I mean, and I can give several examples. The question asked is, do you think marks is the only marker of the capability of a child? For example, say Sourav Ganguly, the leader, looks at a batsman who looks outstandingly good, or a bowler, looks outstandingly good and he hasn't picked wickets or scored runs. Do you still back him? Do you sort of take him in the team without having the statistics back him? Should the parent be too hard on a child if the child has not got marks but has put in the effort? How do you balance subjectivity with this statistical thing that we are guided by? And then this brings back to my question and my problem with India. In India, we do examinations. We don't do studies. Because and I've experienced that as a student, as a teacher, as an academic, and now as a father. How do you deal with that?
See, stats will never lie, Boya. Stats can lie for a little bit of time, but it won't lie for a long period of time. So when parents ask for marks, the school asks for marks, there is a reason for it, because there are manifold proofs or manifold things which they show. See, examination is like pressure. And when you do well in an exam, when you prepare well in an exam, it just doesn't teach you how to prepare for an exam. It teaches you how to prepare for life. It teaches you how to handle pressure. When the exam's results come out and when you do well, the biggest confidence it gives you is that, hey, listen, I was under pressure and I have delivered. So the next time I am under pressure, I will be able to give the results or the marks or the runs or the numbers expected out of it. So it's not just statistics lie. As you said, yeah, we learn, we must learn. Absolutely, we learn every day in life. But I think examination is a test of character, is the test of your reaction under pressure. Imagine when I walked out to bat for the first time at Lord's in a test match. And I batted 6 hours and became a successful test player. It took us one delivery to get dismissed and get out. And however good you were, the world would have sat back and noticed that come the pressure, come the big time, when it came to deliver, he did not. So I think examinations are important. Examinations are not a full proof that the student who's done well or hasn't done well will be successful or not successful in life. But I think the pressure examination puts on a kid is just a way of making him tougher, stronger to face the battles of life.
Okay. This question, Saurabh, has just come in. There are times when you are pulled from every side. Nothing is going your way. You feel you are in a whirlpool. How do you carry yourself in that position and come out of it? Is it self-belief or something else other than self-belief? If yes, then what?
I think, when you do well in life, when you come out of an event successfully in life, you must remember it. And I did something during my playing days. Every time I got a test match 100, I used to write in a note and keep it at the corner of my bag. What mindset I was in, how I trained before that game. And every time I would be under pressure and not scoring runs, I would go back to those routines. Because success gives you confidence for the future. A good performance not only just gives you a good performance for that day, but also makes you mentally prepared for future successes in life. And everybody is going to fail. And every individual in life will have bad days. There's no one. You're not a machine. You're not God. Even machine breaks every now and then. So you have to accept that and keep in memory that what you did when you were at its best and try and replicate it all the time. Remember, in life, if you succeed 70% of the time you put an effort, you will have a wonderful career.
Excellent. My last 3 minutes of the webinar left today. I will hand it over to Vinay at 4:59 for his closing comments. I hope you have enjoyed this. I think this has been an extraordinary one, because I can just go hour after hour after hour listening to Saurabh Ganguly, and I wouldn't say that. I mean, people who know me will know I wouldn't say that for many people. This has been a life lesson, because here is someone who has been there, done that at many, many stages of his career, talking to us. Saurabh, you pulled the IPL out of the hat last Sunday. You pulled a lot out of the hat, and all of a sudden on Monday we hear your title sponsor has an issue. There is a political issue brewing on the sidelines. You have had to take a break from that sponsor. So all of a sudden there is a monetary crisis brewing. The same thing that has happened with school fees, the same thing that has happened with a lot of our students. So there is a financial crunch growing or brewing in all our careers, in all our lives, with students, with teachers, with educationists, with school leaders. Do you charge full fees? Do you not? Do you charge library fees? Do you not? Because you have to keep institutions going. You have to keep the BCCI going. So again, as leader, how do you grapple with such financial crisis? Because in our world, that has become a very, very important challenge. That's why I gave you the example of your title sponsor.
See, I wouldn't call it as a financial crisis. It's just a little bit of a blip, and and the only way you can do it is by being professionally strong over a period of time. Big things don't come overnight, and big things don't go away overnight. And I think your preparation for a long period of time gets you ready for losses, gets you ready for successes. And I think it's for everyone. When you appear for a board exams in class 10, when you appear for your scholarship exams at various stages of your career, you prepare over a period of time. You keep your other options open. You know, if you want to give, wanting to study in the best college in the world, you make sure there are other 4 colleges also in line in case you miss it and you go. It's like plan A and plan B, and preparing for both the plans. I think sensible people do that, sensible brands do that, sensible corporates do that. And I think, as you said, BCC, regarding BCCI, it's a very strong foundation where the game, the players, the administrators in the past has made this game so strong that BCCI is able to handle all this blitz. So that's why for all these young boys and girls who are here, get your base so strong, get your foundation so strong that you will be in a position to handle any blips in your life, any jolts in your life. Jolts will come to everyone, as I said, but just be strong enough to get past it.
You know, as I said, 4:59, I'll hand it over. It is 4:59, but my 30 seconds before I do. Saurav Ganguly too had to face multiple challenges in his life. His life has not been a straight upward curve. It has not. And that is why the multiple layers of gray makes him that much more human and that much more lovable and adorable as far as I am concerned. I mean, the reason he appeals to me as a leader is because he is so human. He's the boy next door at one level. He's the champion at another level. He's the hero at a third level. He's the captain at a fourth level. And most importantly, he's a leader who inspires, continues to inspire everybody who has been part of this broadcast. Pleasure, Saurav. More strength to you. You've got some very important months coming up for you as an administrator, as a society leader, as the boss of Indian cricket, and obviously as the symbol of embodiment to make this country smile with what you are doing. So pleasure. Thank you very much for being who you are, for inspiring everybody who has been part of this webinar. Vinay, I hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it. S. Chand, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And we've got one more left in our series with this great guy. So I would love to look forward to that. But on that note, Saurav Ganguly, everybody who's been part of this, thank you very, very much. Vinay, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Saurav Ganguly and Mr. Boria Majumdar. What an amazing session. I think for me, it was real life lessons on leadership, personal effectiveness, how to handle failure, how to handle change, and none other than the master himself. I really cherished and enjoyed this session, and I'm sure all our participants, especially the young participant students, would have really found a lot of answers they are looking for in this webinar. And at the same time, I also thank all our participants, school leaders, teachers, parents, and students who logged in from all over India and even outside for this amazing webinar. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Saurav Ganguly. Thank you, Boria, for this amazing webinar. And thank you all the participants. We would continue to stay in touch with you and bring you more and more webinars which can add value to you. So on behalf of S. Chand Group, thank you so much and all the best. And
I just want to say something before all these children go away
please.
From us. And it is most importantly for young boys and girls who are in school and colleges. I have a young daughter at home who's done exceptionally well in ISC and been fortunate enough to pursue her academic career on just basis of her talent overseas. I just want to say to all of you that this is the time to build your life. What you do now, what you do for the next 15 years will remain with you till you live. So work so hard now. Give so much time to your education, so much time to preparation, and so much time to developing yourself academically, professionally, career-wise, that it will take care of you for the rest of your life. Don't mess around at this stage of your life, because this is the most important stage, as they say, school, college, education, and degree, because this will remain with you forever and stand by you when the times are tough. So as I said, stay on with your education. Chaya Prakashani has served children over 80 years. I have when I was in class 10 and class 12 and college, I've gone through their books. Now it's a new way of teaching, is the online teaching, the LearnFlix. Hopefully you will all benefit from this. Hopefully you will all utilize the benefits which are given to you through this medium and become successful people, because that's what the country needs.
Thank
Brilliant.
you so much.
Absolutely brilliant, Saurav. When he was dropped from the Indian team, he went to the Eden Gardens and ran 21 laps of the Eden Gardens without even realizing or knowing that he had run 21 laps. The story is he worked the hardest. He worked the hardest as a player, as a captain, as a leader, as an administrator. And that's where he is today. He is who he is because of the work that has been put in, the hours and hours and hours, the days and days and days, the months and months and months, the years and years. More power to you. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Vinay. Thank you, Escha.
Thank you. With this amazing message, we finish for today and we get back to you for the next seminar. Thank you.